Dak would need load management for years. Stay with me. Let's go. So a lot of people did breakdowns of Hard Knocks. At this channel, we didn't because it was actually kind of simple. It wasn't that much to gain from it. I'm gonna just say LVE was right on Michael Parsons about containment. We talked about that, and it was some good entertainment, but football related, it wasn't that much. So the biggest thing to take away from Hard Knocks, I would say, would be the load management of Dak. Now, I had the privilege of running into Patrick Walker for CBS Sports at SportsCon, and he talked about if you can find a way to stand out and differentiate yourself, you're going to do good in this industry. And so for anybody that's been watching us for any amount of time, you should know that this channel is very good at a couple of things. Number one, we are very good at foresight. We see a lot of stuff before it happened, and we call it way before it happened. If you can say one thing about this channel, that is definitely true. That is one main reason to follow us. We told you about Dak's money. We told you about a whole bunch of draft choices. We predicted a lot, and we got all the evidence for it. Number two, that we do very well on this channel is we're independent to tell the truth to power and against wrong popular opinions. I'm going to say that again. We are independent to tell the truth to power and against wrong popular opinions of the Dallas Cowboys. So we got to say that because for anybody that's been watching, before Hard Knocks, I called out and said my concern for Dak on load management. I want y'all to really listen, and then we go talk about this because this is super important. All right, here we go. I'm finna shock y'all on one more thing because I said I was finished, but I'm really finna be finished when I say this. Actually, I got another opinion about Dak that I'm gonna start saying loud. Dak works a little bit too hard. I want y'all to really hear me when I say that. People like Dak, you gotta watch because he's so driven. All right. He's so driven that you got to tell him when to stop because you can overwork yourself. Put it like this. My coach said that to my dad because I used to do a lot of extra work. And my coach went to my dad. He said, you got to watch Marcus. He'll get injured because he overworks. I was thinking about that today because I've been putting in crazy hours with the content that I do, with the way that I make money in my insurance agency and all the other stuff that I do, putting in 14-hour days and doing content every day. So I said, you know what? You got good money in the bank. Take the day off tomorrow. You can't say that about Dak and don't do it yourself, boss. And somebody really need to tell Dak, rest is also production. Some people really need to hear that. Rest is also productive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with you working hard, Dak, but I also want them to monitor when they need to pull them back. Because they in training camp right now. They coming back to Dallas. When they come to Dallas, that's when bosses go be at training camp. The first time I was at training camp and I saw Dak and I was looking at him, I told my boy Anthony Turrell, who got a fire big Cowboys group, all right? I called him. I said, bro, Dak used literally every second working on every part of his game. I watched him. So when everybody came out, right? Normally before practice, you go get with your boys. You might do a little drills here and there. You go, go chill, maybe rest your legs. Immediately, Dak was doing this. Hold on, let me show you. Loosening up his shoulders. Then the Dak dance. I saw that way before it went viral. He did that. He was by himself, going hard at it, right? Even when Jason Garrett called them up for the team huddle, he was throwing balls to guys all the way till he got to the huddle. He used literally every second of practice working on his craft. And I saw it and I said, that this dude is the hardest working dude out here. I said, it's no doubt. Like, I watched every one of them, and the guy that never stopped working was Dak. So it does offend me when people say, oh, he running sprints for the camera. Oh, so you think he built that field in his backyard for cameras? You don't think that's passion? So when some people have, like, when they driven like that, this is what you go hear on this show that you probably not gonna hear nowhere else. So I'm waiting on somebody to start saying we pulling Dak back. We slowing him down. Yes, indeed. That was August the 2nd before Hard Knocks. This is not about I told you so. This is not about we are right and you are wrong. This is about looking out. This is about having foresight and managing the leader right. Let's just be honest. See, because when somebody like me is saying this, you gotta trust it. Because you know I'm very much and been on the right side a lot with Dak. So if I'm critiquing Dak, it's real. Okay, it is no joke. This is purely out of love and what's best for the Dallas Cowboys. So I already know some people, they looking at the thumbnail and like, the audacity to have Kobe Bryant side by side Dak. Dak is no Kobe. It's like, you don't know what you're looking at. You really don't. Because Dak is Kobe. They are made, Dak and Kobe are made of the same material. They are the same type of person. And you got to watch days like this and weeks like this because it'll go quickly into the past and people will quickly move on from the concerns that could happen if we don't pay attention. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you is Kobe had way more years left than when he went out. What we saw, and I'm talking about his basketball career, what we saw with Kobe at the later stages of his years playing was the drive and the feeling that I have to work. I have to work. I have to work. They are driven for championships. They feel like it's a calling on what they do, and they're workers. Dak is wired exactly like Kobe Bryant. And you have to think years down the line when you're thinking about Dak, because right now he's young and invincible. He thinks he's invincible. His track record says he's invincible, but he's not invincible. Stuff add up and you can overwork. And loyal people's go say that. I said it first and nobody was saying it August 2nd. I can already hear all you, oh, we all knew that. No, you didn't, because nobody was saying on August 2nd or before you got to pull Dak back. The first time that came out was Hard Knocks. So if I was saying it before they said it, that means I was seeing the risk. And so it's one of those things to where somebody got to tell Dak that love Dak that rest is production. Because to people like Dak and Kobe, they literally feel that if they're not working, they're not being productive. Now, he get it when it comes to sleep, because he's a great ambassador for the sleep company, the bed. I forgot the name of it. He does a great job of marketing it, and I believe that he does it. If it's productive, he's going to do it. But this is where I believe Dak has a hole in his foresight, right? He has a hole in his foresight, because when you watch Hard Knocks, you saw the passion in Dak, like, man, I'm missing reps, man. And he was mad about it, because in his mind, this is not good for me. And he means well. He really does. He means well with that thought. Kobe meant well with that thought. But it will catch up to you. Maybe not next year. Maybe not 3 years from now. You got to look for Dak 10 years from now. And you got to say, will this type of workload that he does to himself hurt him down the line? That's where we really have to look for leadership to manage this right, okay? The good news is the tea leaves are showing that they do, okay? Because remember, I said at the end of the video, I'm looking for people to say we're going to pull Dak back. And you got to watch people like Dak and Kobe, because they asked the question one time to Kobe. It was a G answer, but he was low-key wrong. They said, what do you do when you feel like you had enough rest? Because you know your coach will pull you out the game for basketball and manage your loads, especially in the fourth quarter, because they know you need you to be rested to close out games a lot of times. Kobe said, oh, I just checked myself in the game. Now, he didn't say, I talked to my coach about when to get back in the game. Kobe is just like Dak. What happened on Hard Knocks? Dak checked himself back in, like, man, get out the nooch. Now, they already said they measured Dak through the GPS and said we can see that the workload was heavy. So we're going to pull him back. Dak wasn't hearing that. He had that Kobe mentality, checking himself back in. So this is where everybody got to get more assertive with Dak. You got to go and gear yourself up to fight him. Just know it. Just like, listen, this we not going to agree on. And we go bust heads on this. But I got to manage this. I got to manage you against you. I really do. And if it pisses him off, oh well. Because you got to see the kink in his armor and save him from himself. And I'm being honest about that. The good news is, I assure you that we're at least thinking in the right directions, and they answered my concern. I want y'all to listen to this. Here we go.
A lot of folks, fans back home, are really excited to see Dak doing some stuff yesterday. I'm curious whether it's practicing today or whatever, how you think that timeline looks for him in terms of practice, in terms of will we see him in a preseason game? Yeah. What are your general thoughts on that?
Well, in general, you see on the show, I mean, this guy's so driven. I mean, it's just that's his nature, is to overwork. I mean, he's like Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin rolled up into one guy. His leadership, his tenacity, his skills, his desire to be great, to be the best. I mean, you really got to harness him in. So, my deal would be we got to be so conservative, because if you let him roll, he'd be out there playing 4 quarters.
Right.
Against
yelling at Garrett Gilbert about getting back in there.
Let me roll. So, we've got to be very conservative with him. Obviously, you saw him throwing the ball around. He looks great. I know some people get a little jiggy, if you will, in terms of thinking, well, it's got to be something or they'd have him out there. I mean, this is a long preseason, and we're a week ahead of everybody else, and he's taking it all in, as you can see out there, and we're going to bring him along, but we're going to do it the right way, and we're going to protect him from himself, if you will.
Now, before we let you go, Stephen, our other co-host, Mike Bassick, is back in his pantry right now. He's unable to make the trip.
How you doing, Mike?
Gotta be
doing
safe.
good.
Can you confirm?
I saved you guys from.
All right, so key things that Steven said, you have to harness him in. And remember, on the previous video, I said that at the very end, I'm going to just play this just a little bit and go to that part. I'm finna shock y'all on one more thing, because I said I'm waiting on somebody to start saying we pulling Dak back. We slowing him down. That was the last thing I said. And that's exactly what Steven just said. I was waiting on it, and we now heard it. Thank God. Like, for real, thank God, bro. I mean that. Because that says that we don't have a passive owner. We got Stephen Jones is looking at this right, man. Now, people can be critical of Steven all they want. No, on this one, Steven, he's dead on point. And he said exactly what I said, is Dak is the type that you have to protect from himself. And that's just what it is. And I mean this in love. You have to protect Dak from him. Dak will break himself. And that's real. And loyal people go see it and say it and try to do something about it. People that's kissing ass go, oh, no, don't try to hold them back. No. Sometimes you got to hold people back, man. Sometimes you got to say, bro, you're going a little bit too hard. Like, you're in the red right now. You should be in the blue. You're driving to the point of red. Because remember, the key thing I said about Dak, because I know people like Dak. I myself in ways are like Dak, to where you got to learn when to stop. One time I fell out, just being honest about myself, is when I had the most money and success. I was driving too hard. I collapsed at Red Lobster. As a youngster, I wasn't even old. No blood pressure issues, no nothing. Nothing. I still don't have those issues, but I just fell out. But I was driving so hard. I stayed up 48 hours straight. Because I was driving to be number one in the country for a Fortune 100 company. I achieved it, but what was the cost? So when you listen to this channel, that's why I can identify with them. Like, oh no, like, no, you got to watch him. Cause trust me, Dak in his mind is literally thinking, I'm good. And he also thinks, trust me on this. Dak is thinking, trust me. Dak thinks to himself that if I'm not working, I'm being lazy. If I'm not working on some part of my game, I'm not being productive. That's why the key thing that I'm saying that I want to get to him some way is somebody got to tell him that just like sleep is productive, load management is just as productive as that extra sprint, that extra throw, that extra gasting, that extra pullback, because that allows your battery to recharge, Dak. And that's just straight up. And people that's loyal go tell you. People that's kissing your ass, not. Oh, go, Dak, go. Oh, go. No, those people not loyal. They not. People that's loyal is telling you what I'm telling you, and I said it August 2nd. It's on record. So it's one of those things that out of concern, yes, Hard Knocks was cool, but the most important thing we talking about is Dak from Hard Knocks. So y'all check this out, and then we go kind of close this out. But this is good as well. Listen to this.
Nowadays, when you have 4 preseason games, 5. When's the dress rehearsal? But that's clearly going to be that. That's the target. And I thought KNC Masterpiece and Stephen Jones combined for the thing of the day when it comes to the Cowboys, outside of Skip Bayless, who we'll get to in a minute. When Stephen Jones was basically trying to explain how they have to hold Dak back, which is how we got to this place originally anyway. It's Dak overworking himself that probably gave him the fatigue that probably created the soreness and the muscle strength. And he said his work ethic, his drive, is like Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman rolled into one guy. And for those of us who know those guys and how they practiced and how they devoted themselves to what they were doing, that's like the ultimate Cowboys compliment times 2.
Yep.
If you would have told me, Chris, if Stephen Jones would have said, in my opinion, he has the same work ethic of Michael Irvin, I would have gone, wow. Okay, that's the wowiest. He's Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman together. And you combine this kind of reflection from the Cowboys with some of the stuff you saw from Dak on Hard Knocks. And a lot of that stuff, if you're a Cowboy fan in Dallas, wasn't a big revelation to you, but it's still cool. And I think you find yourself, all those people, the number of people that aren't on Dak's side necessarily, I think they're going to find themselves coming around, at least until the Cowboys lose 2 straight games, so then they can go back to where they were.
Of course.
Yeah, Fish hit that dead on the head. Because obviously to people that follow the Cowboys, that was not new information in terms of his work ethic. Because, Darren Woodson was the first to really say that, is that his work ethic is equal to Michael Irvin. And see, one of the most famous stories was when Michael Irvin, we just won a Super Bowl, right? And Aikman left something in his locker, so he went back to the facility to pick up. We've all have done that. We left stuff in our locker, and you're like, damn, I left my keys, or I left my, and he went back. Now, this is after the Super Bowl. This is after they won it. And he said out there by himself was Mike, running routes to the point where he threw up. And he said he was just watching. Mike didn't know he was there. And he said he threw up and he just watched. And he said Mike, after he got whatever out of his system, he worked a whole nother hour on routes. This was after they won the first Super Bowl. So the weight of that compliment is an understatement when you think of who Mike was in a gym. And then you think about that and then say, our quarterback is like that. And like Fisher said, that's not new for those who've been keeping up. But that also tells you, do you want that type of work ethic nonstop for 10 years? I'm going to tell you right now, no. You don't even want it for 5. You don't want it for 4. You don't want it for 3. You don't want what you saw on Hard Knocks, where he's so anxious to win the Super Bowl for Dallas that he overworks himself. So, that's the biggest takeaway that I got. Like, we can talk about all the other stuff, but this is a day we got to timestamp and mark as a day of concern, and don't overlook it. Like I said, August 2nd, I'm getting ready to start saying this loud. Like, I'm going to start putting content out there to really look after the leader of our team, because that's loyalty. You don't see risk even 2 or 3 years down the road and say you're loyal and say nothing. That is not loyal. That's disloyal. And anybody that's been following this channel know how we rock. We are going to tell you, first, we proved that from that video that we have foresight. We see a lot before it happened. Number 2, we're independent to tell the truth to power and against wrong popular opinions. That's exactly who we are. I'm literally going to send this to Dak and his brother directly on Twitter. I just need to know that I tried. That's the key thing, is I tried to tell our leader a loyal opinion. Now, what they do with it is on them. But at the same time, if I'm looking out for us and I see a risk You got to say it. Period. Y'all stay up. Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matter. Peace.